As the next generation of local government managers join the workforce, how do we make sure that we are bridging the generational divide? Jason Dorsey, president of the Center for Generational Kinetics and renowned author and speaker, is here in studio to break down for us how we can break down the divide. Pleasure to have you today.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
All right, let's get started with what are generational kinetics?
At our research firm, what we study is why generations do the things they do. Most of the data in the world is what we call tracking data. Okay. It's telling us what happened, right? Did somebody buy something? Did they apply for a job? Did they leave a job? What we care about is why did they do that, or why did they not? Because if we can understand those behaviors, then we can better drive the engagement and the outcomes that we want. So we study generations through a variety of lenses to really sort of separate myth from truth, and we do it all around the world. And it's a ton of fun because when you study every generation, you create a lot more of that context. And when we think about the term generational kinetics, what that really means is how do different generations interact with one another? And that's what leaders need to know today, especially when we think about city or county government. I mean, it's so important for them to get this right.
Right, because you're really talking about a wide range of ages when you're talking about local government.
When we think about local government, it's an interesting situation. Not only are there 4 generations presently in their workforce, and we see this all over the country and even around the world, but the stakeholders they serve, if you really think about sort of constituents, represent every single generation. I mean, literally from the youngest to the oldest, they serve every day. So generations not only is an opportunity and a challenge internally in the organization, but externally in terms of all of those that they seek to serve.
Something I found interesting during your keynote is you mentioned that when you cover up the labels of who belongs to which generation, that it's actually Gen Z and baby boomers that are the most alike?
That's true, yeah, it's absolutely true. I wrote a book called Z-Economy, where we really dove deep into understanding Gen Z coming of age, studying parenting, technology, all the things that shape them. And what we found from a value standpoint, much of what Gen Z wants actually looks like baby boomers. They care deeply about social causes. They think they're gonna have to work forever. They wanna know about their benefits. They're seeking stability. They're savers. I'm gonna go through this whole long list. So on paper, Gen Z looks very similar to baby boomers. Now, where does it get different? Well, they have a different relationship with technology, of course. They've had some different defining moments, of course. But if you go underneath that, there's a lot of similarity. And what we see is that organizations working very hard to recruit Gen Z right now because of the impact that the generation's already having.
Really fascinating. All right, so what have you found are some of the biggest workplace issues that are a result of this wide age range?
The biggest issue that we see is leaders and managers tend to take a one-size-fits-all approach. Okay. And there's reasons people have done that, right? It's easier, it's efficient, it's all these things. But the problem is the people who frequently develop that one-size-fits-all approach are not actually the ones that they're trying to engage with that, right? And so people like to communicate and lead in the way that they want to be communicated with or the way they want to be led. The problem is it just looks different. So I'll give you an example. We know that many people want to give feedback annually, like an annual review, maybe quarterly, things like that. What our research shows is to keep younger generations deeply engaged and loyal, they need much more frequent feedback. Now, interestingly, it doesn't mean they need more feedback. That's a myth. They just need smaller bites more frequently. So 15 seconds once a week drives the same outcome as these much longer engagements later on. But the idea here is it's not about paying people more money. It's not about inflating titles or giving everybody a trophy. We know those things don't work. What actually works is seeking to understand and create individually with those people so that you can drive those results. And that's what understanding generations allows you to do. Really gives you a head start.
All right, final question for you. The biggest piece of advice you can give for managers, employers to try and create a happy, cohesive workplace environment?
What I would do is create what's called a generational snapshot. And what that means is you take your workforce or your team or whoever you lead and you create a generational composition or pie chart. And the reason why is most people, and it's just through how we all are, well, I'm guilty of it too, our view of the world doesn't necessarily match reality. So when you create this pie chart that shows you the percentage of each generation in your workforce today, what you can then look at is how you communicate. You can look at your technology, you can look at your incentives, your benefits, and go, does this really match the people in my workforce today? And then the bonus answer is, if you take that same pie chart and you look at it 2 years from now, just predict out into the future, it gets really exciting because then usually you have a lot more Gen Zers and millennials, and then are you aligned as well? So it's important to ground yourself in reality first, look at the generations you have, see, am I aligned, am I delivering what they need in the way that they want? And once you've done that, then you can really build on that momentum.
Awesome advice. This is so fascinating. I feel like I could talk to you all day long. Thank you so much. This has been great. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's been an honor.